Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena here. So recently I reviewed both the Huawei Mate 8 and the Honor 5X. They're both made by Huawei, and from what I saw, they're both drastically different. At the end of the day, one is regarded as a high-end phone, the other one being a low-end one. In 2015, we saw a very different change in the industry. We saw a lot of these sub $200 price smartphones come out, and they really offered a lot of value. So now, going into 2016, we're kind of wondering what makes a high-end phone any different from a low-end one, and what kind of value do they provide? The first pertains to design. You tend to get superior constructions and more premium looking handsets with ones in the high-end range, so it's not all that surprising. In fact, they're mostly adorned in either leather, metal, and glass, and while plastic is usually the type of material that's usually associated with most low-end phones, we do see some low-end devices have some sort of metal body, but they're usually the cheap feeling type. You have larger, higher resolution displays as well, and most of them are Quad HD resolution. That is the standard, so incredible detail. But then again, the low-end phones nowadays tend to have 720p resolution, while a few have 1080p. Now, some people might argue the difference between 1080p and Quad HD is very minimal, but from a specs point of view, you normally see high-end phones getting the higher resolution. When you're paying very little for a handset, you don't get that much in terms of unique features, but with most high-end phones, they do come with some unique technologies. For example, with the Galaxy Note 5, it's distinguished by its S Pen stylus, while with the iPhone 6s, 6s Plus, you have things like 3D touch technology. And of course, if you have a BlackBerry Priv, you're going to get that keyboard. So usually high-end phones have a little bit more going behind them. It's also fairly typical that today's high-end smartphones feature the latest and greatest chipsets, the best of the best. They're necessary in giving them a lot of that type responsiveness, and we do see in the performances, not only from the benchmark side, but just from everyday use. Most high-end handsets can handle multitasking with relative ease, while low-end smartphones tend to have some sluggishness with the performance. And with the better chipsets in high-end smartphones, you also tend to get better gaming performances as well. This is particularly important because most low-end phones tend to have frame rates lower than 15 frames per second, so a very choppy experience. Whereas with the high-end handsets, you tend to see frame rates of easily 30 plus, so they're a lot smoother and more ideal. Well, the basic features of a smartphone are uniform with any handset. You can make phone calls and text messages. You tend to see far more comprehensive software experiences in high-end smartphones. For example, the Note 5, you have things like a one-handed mode, you have true side-by-side apps multitasking, and they're considered the true workhorses for power users. And not surprisingly too, you have better camera performances out of high-end smartphones. Now, the megapixel count's not as important nowadays. Usually most handsets, even low-end ones, tend to produce some really crisp looking outdoor shots where there's plenty of sunlight. But it's drastically different when you take it under low light, where the high-end smartphones have better sensors, larger apertures, so they're able to absorb in a lot more light. So you definitely see a lot of disparity in that particular area. And since most high-end smartphones come with large displays, it's not all that surprising they get endowed with some equally large battery capacities as well. So they tend to have longer battery life too due to that. In addition, you have also some sort of quick recharge technology embedded inside them too, so they offer shorter recharge times. And a few even have the additional amenity of wireless charging. Finally, there's pricing. This easily distinguishes the two segments. Most low-end smartphones tend to cost around $200 or below, while high-end smartphones start at $500 and goes up from there. Now, obviously, there's a difference in price point, but in getting a high-end handset, you're getting generally a more premium-looking design, better construction, improved performances in terms of processing power, gaming might, better battery life, and a lot of different features.